welcome to another edition of Diaspora Network, where we celebrate Nigerians who are making the country proud in different parts of the world. I'm Ijoma Onyato. On the show today, it's been a whole month of events to mark Black History Month in the UK, and we beam the spotlight on people of Nigerian descent honored for their contributions to the nations of the world. Our special report evaluates Black History Month and the essence of commemorating this nationally recognized moment in time. And you don't want to miss our chat with Obi and Peju Abuchis, a unique couple who are changing the perception of blackness in the corporate world through speaking and writing. There's so much to watch out for in the next 30 minutes, but first, let's take a look at the news this week.
The Nigerian Immigration Service has announced that Nigerians in the diaspora holding expired passports can now return home with their expired travel documents. The announcement comes at a time when tens of thousands of Nigerians with dual citizenship are expected to visit Nigeria during the busy festive period. Meanwhile, for those who wish to renew their passports, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, has insisted that there are enough passport booklets, contrary to media reports stating otherwise. 50 Cent has hinted that he is prepared to release a TV show inspired by the notorious influencer turned cybercriminal Hush Puppy. The Dubai-based influencer, whose real name is Ramon Olorunwa Abbas, was recently convicted of conspiracy to engage in money laundering by a US court, and he was handed an 11-year jail time for the robbery of $300 million, involving a series of fraudulent phishing schemes, landing millions into his foreign bank accounts. At his peak, Hush Puppy frequently posted flashy pictures of his luxurious lifestyle on Instagram, garnering hundreds of thousands of likes, showing off top-of-the-range sports cars, private jets and designer clothing. Over time, he gained over 1 million followers, many of whom idolised him because of his heavy play on the rags-to-riches success story trope. A petition has since been circulated with a bid to stop 50 Cent's series from going forward. Those publishing the petition claim that the rapper plans to glorify Hush Puppy's hustle lifestyle, to which he has not responded. Nigerian New Zealander kickboxer Israel Adesanya was arrested and released without charge just days after his defeat against Alex Pereira at the UFC 281 event in New York. The kickboxer was detained by US authorities after an incident which involved his possession of a pair of brass knuckles, a weapon which is used for hand-to-hand combat and banned in the state of New York. The UFC star's manager has now claimed that they were a gift from a fan, and airport officials later released him without any charges. His plans to be involved with the UFC's Africa-based tournament are still under consideration, with talks of Nigeria amongst other countries to host the event.
Hey, Auntie
You didn't even want me.
A Nigerian-born influencer couple has been selected as members of the hashtag YouTube Black Voices creator class of 2023.
Hi, so it's official, y'all. We have just been selected as part of the YouTube Black Voices creator class of 2023.
Oh my God, guys, let's go on this journey together. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe.
The OT Love Train are a Canadian-based couple that consists of Oluz B and Dorothy Tuash. The pair established their YouTube channel in 2019 and soon after created TikTok and Instagram accounts, which now have a combined following of over 250,000 followers. They are known for posting funny and relatable marriage and couples content, some of which has attracted millions of views. The two describe themselves as a black power couple who believe that love can change the world, and they hold sessions for individuals and couples seeking advice. Olu and Dorothy are among 179 talented creators from around the world who are part of the YouTube Black Voices Fund, which was created to directly support black creators by providing partnerships, training and seed funding to develop their presence on the platform and beyond. Juliana Olayinka with the Diaspora Network News Wrap in London.
Are you a Nigerian in diaspora? Do you have a need to contact Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM? Kindly dial any of the numbers on your screen. You can also catch up with all the Commission's activities, including news, articles, and office events on the website nidcom.gov.ng.
Black History Month is celebrated in February in the United States and Canada, and then through October here in the UK. It pays tribute to the sterling contributions of black people to the development of these great nations. And there's no better time to share this than now that celebrations have been concluded. Let's take a look.
Black History Month was created to officially recognize key roles, contributions, and sacrifices of African Americans throughout history. The celebration also promotes unity, diversity, and an opportunity to educate people. The month-long observance grew from an initiative by Carter G. Woodson to honor the heritage and achievements of African Americans. In 1976, U.S. President Gerald Ford designated the month of February as Black History Month, and the practice has continued, gaining momentum in many other countries. In Canada, just as the U.S., it's celebrated in February, while in countries like the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Ireland, it's commemorated in October, but there are renewed calls for it to be celebrated all year round, as many believe it's an opportunity to learn and teach history. Black History Month is marked with a series of activities that include Black rights advocacy, Black film screenings, Black-themed exhibitions, book readings in honor of Black authors, Black music playlists on radio and music streaming sites, and Black-centered conversations on social media. Many organizations have also caught the bug and are increasingly incorporating Black History Month through commemorative workplace activities like diversity workshops, increased partnership with Black-owned companies, volunteering, and donations. Today, the celebration goes beyond recognizing the achievements of African Americans alone. Nigerians make a large number of population being celebrated for making positive marks. And here are the statistics to back this up. Nigerian-American physician Dr. Olurotimi Badero is world's first and only cardio-nephrologist. He's been recognized globally for his accomplishments and contributions to the medical space. He obtained his medical education at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, before relocating to the United States. Dr. Badero has received several awards, including a congressional award by the U.S. government for his outstanding medical career and service to humanity. Nigerian-American scientist Robert Okoje was recently inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame of NASA, the United States National Aeronautics and Space Administration. He's the first Nigerian and fourth African out of over 35 inductees. He has a PhD in electrical engineering with no fewer than 21 patent inventions to his credit. He is a leading expert on silicon carbide-based microelectromechanical systems for use in extreme environments. World heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua, Nigerian British singer and four-time Grammy Award winner Henry Olusegun Adeola Samuel, professionally known as Seal, Nigerian lawyer and investment banker Adebayo Ogunlesi, also referred to as the Nigerian who owns 3 airports in the United Kingdom, are a few on the endless list of Nigerians excelling globally. Black History Month is about sharing and celebrating the stories of countless men and women who are making a difference in our world. While some achievements might be noted more than others, they all contribute positively to humanity.
Now, Black History Month is truly a time for the kind of reflection that holds very personal attachment and meanings to people. In recent years, there's been a renewed call to celebrate the achievements and struggles of Black people throughout history through the lens of education and creative arts. And that's why we share the story of this interesting couple, Obi and Peju Abuchi.
Once upon a time, over 2 decades ago, a Yoruba princess named Peju from the Ademiluyi royal family in Ile-Ife, Osun State, southwest Nigeria, met her Prince Charming, Obi Abuchi, who hails from Minjikoka local government area in Anambra State, southeast Nigeria. The pair met in London, and not long after, they got married in 2001.
I lived in Nigeria for 10 years, from 7 to 17, and when I was in Nigeria, I lived in Warri. So there were various tribes. I wasn't intending on either marrying a Nigerian or not marrying a Nigerian. I was just open. We come back to the UK and we meet at church, and then there's this really interesting story that when Biju told her mum that she was dating an Igbo boy, her mum said, "Are there no nice Yoruba boys in your church?" Nigeria, as we know, has so many tribes within this one country, and you've got this incredible diversity. And yet there's the sense that we are Nigerian and that connects us, and yet there's also a distance between some of the tribes. And so it was interesting for me that there was still that sense of tribalism. And of course, hey, my mother-in-law loves me now and I love her, of course, but there was still that distance.
Peju, a lover of words, started writing as a young teenager and has since brought delight to the hearts of many through her poems, stories, quotes, and posts.
And using poetry as a vehicle to speak life into different spaces and places. I love the fact that poetry is memorable, it's different, it lingers on in the mind, it really feeds the soul. I think of Amanda Gorman, who read her poem, The Hill We Climb, at the inauguration of President Biden in the United States, and how we remember that. So whether you are young, I use this in the places where I educate young people. We talk about anti-bullying, we talk about women's empowerment, we talk about the refugee crisis, and I call out of this young people creativity. Use poetry to express yourself. Not everyone is a great speaker, not everyone feels like a skilled writer, but give these children the freedom to rap or to poetize, and they come up with quite amazing things.
Let's gather as friends, as one human race that sends peace to the weary, caution to the greedy, love to the lonely, help to the needy. And to those of us who feel lost, there is a leader who does not remove himself from our pain or feast on our pain to gain a soulless army that will reign by keeping us insane. No, his death was not in vain. Remember, he rose triumphant. He the man.
Interestingly, her husband Abuchis also at a young age discovered his passion for transforming lives for purposeful living. Today, he is a transformational speaker, a coach, founder and CEO of Core Leaders International, a consultancy passionate about helping leaders grow.
Through many of my own struggles and challenges as a leader, I have come to this firm realization that everything, and I mean everything we do, how we lead, how we live, the way we show up, it's a reflection of how we see ourselves on the inside. It's a reflection of our mental habits, our attitudes, and our beliefs. And as I say over and over again to leaders, when life squeezes you and the pressure is on, what you're like on the inside will come out. So if at the core of who you are, there is fear, doubt, self-centeredness, narcissism, shame, then that will trickle or even gush out into the way that you lead and the decisions you make. But if there's a sense of purpose, if there's a commitment to service over control, if there is clarity about who you are, what you stand for, then you will live each day with an incredible energy and a sense of peace that many only dream of.
He has worked with, trained and coached leaders in corporate giants like Shell, Deutsche Post, DHL and Tesco. Together, the couple is transforming lives and building moral character through compelling and vulnerable stories, deep insights, mentoring and coaching. And for this year's Black History Month celebration in the UK, they're using their roles in the corporate world to project blackness as beautiful, positive and brilliant. Their marriage is blessed with 3 boys.
Welcome back to the program. Now, we met up with Obi and Peju Abuchis, and they shared interesting perspectives on Black history while letting us into their lives of impact through writing and speaking. Obi, tell us about negotiating blackness in Britain. I mean, obviously, you're at the top of your career where you are, and you are who you are. You know, how have you done it?
Yeah, I've done it by recognizing the challenges there, right? And I said earlier on the importance of developing a network and building relationships, but also appreciating the sobering facts within the business world. I mean, on a different level, I hear some stories of people who have put their CVs in for jobs, and just because of their name, they haven't been given those opportunities. And that is sobering. And so I realized that a big part of the work that I have to do is get to know people and help people get to know me so that they can move beyond my name and beyond the color to the value I add and the difference that I make as a leadership coach and speaker and author. So
yeah, how can you do that? Because people talk about networks and perhaps not being in the spaces where you can find these executives. How do you break into that space that seems to be a club for a certain number?
Yeah, there are. I'm not going to pretend that it's easy. There are different ways. I mean, where are most of the conversations had, the business conversations? It's on the golf course, or it's at the football stadium, or it's in the pub. And so socializing, getting to know, joining networks, the Institute of Directors, the Surrey Chambers of Commerce, just getting to know people locally in a business context is a real starting point for me for the work that I do. And I think that can apply anywhere. So yes, you can stick to some of your local networks, the Nigerian networks, but there are also many other networks that can be accessed easily and that you can begin to build some of those relationships. And there is something unique about celebrating our challenges, our contribution, and also opportunities, looking out for one another and supporting one another and creating opportunities for sure, because we can't ignore the fact that there are barriers. And so absolutely, I think those things are valuable. I just personally wouldn't focus on them exclusively. I want to be able to serve the world as much as possible, not just my specific community. But it's not a bad place to start.
Because you're a teacher. How do you find it's the same? So for instance, you walk into the class and then you say your name and you have students looking at you thinking, Miss...
Yes, I do. Mrs. Abuchis. I don't shy away from expecting even young people who I educate to have a go at pronouncing my name. It's very much give and take. I teach different students from different parts of the world, and if I can make the effort to pronounce a name that is different from my name, then I expect them to do the same. And I do give them space. I mean, young children will make fun. We know how kids can be. Young children will try and make fun of anything. I give them that space, but I also expect them to be respectful. Why? Because these young children do not know where they will be in the future, who they will end up working with, who they'll end up employing, who they'll end up getting married to. And so from a young age, teaching them and educating them to be respectful about names. Names have powerful stories behind them. It could be that there was something significant happening in a country, and so parents decided we would name our child as a result of that significance, or something really important was happening in the family, or parents thought, I really like that celebrity, I'll name my child. There's a story behind names, and we want young people as well as older people to be respectful. So instead of saying, I don't like your name, it's different, why don't we try curiosity as a powerful connector and start with, that's a different name. I've not heard it before. Tell me more about it. I think curiosity would powerfully connect young and old that way.
And it works both ways, because we've had conversations with our boys who love football, and they'll mention the name of some footballer. I'll pick it from whether Yugoslavia or Spain, and they say, oh, that's a strange name. And we say, boys, wait a second. What do you mean that's a strange name? Do you know what it means? Because we want to train them to value the importance of names and not judge people by their names in the way that we don't want them to be judged, simply by their names.
All right, so Kweju, tell us about how you use poetry to infuse this narrative of blackness, and how we need a lot more than just a month to celebrate Black History Month.
Yes, well, I've spoken in a couple of schools recently, and the narrative that I like to play upon is that Black history is as diverse as any other history. So for me, speaking as a Black African, you'll get a different vibe to when you listen to a Black Caribbean speak or when you listen to a Black British person speak. I don't like to be painted with the same brush, and I know nobody wants to be painted like that. So I think just opening your eyes and your mind to the diversity even within the Black culture is fantastic. And again, for someone who's Black African, for somebody who's Nigerian, I think it's seen that the history, the experience, what we bring is as different and as unique as the people who bring them.
Let me ask you, Obi, from a business perspective, obviously, what do you think as Nigerians in diaspora like yourselves can do, you know, not just in terms of your lifestyle now, in terms of your relationships and your networks, to see our Blackness as a good thing, not as a negative thing, for instance? So obviously that's the whole point of the month.
I mean, that's a great question. And to see our Blackness as a good thing, first of all, seeing yourself as human. And what's unique about you as a human being? What's your unique offering? And then, of course, there's then the cultural piece of your Blackness. And there are so many great Black people, from the politicians, absolutely, to the business people, to the inventors, to the scientists, to the authors, to the sportsmen.
So you think Blackness should come second? People shouldn't see color first. They should see you as the individual and then see your Blackness.
I think that's a way of connecting people. Why don't I look at you and see what unites us first, and then the things that are different, rather than seeing different as bad, different is just different. It adds color. If I only looked at a white sheet or a black sheet, I'd say that's boring. But you look at this just mesh of color and wow, that's beauty. So absolutely, our differences bring beauty to the world.
I want to jump in there, actually.
Yes,
and I want to speak to the way you come into a country like the UK. So I've been very blessed to have the sort of parents that I have, because when I moved here in '96 to pursue my degree, I came here with the words of my parents in my ear saying, you are a force for good. You are going there to be a blessing. You're not just going there to be a minority who should quake in fear. You are a strength. You are adding something powerful. That country is lucky to have you. And so in every space and place that I've been in, I stand tall and I think you can accept me to your benefit or not.
What would you like to see done differently? Because if you look around London, I mean, Oxford Street, you'd find it on the posters to say the whole of October was this huge celebration of Black History Month. But do you see that percolating really in society?
I love that question. My vision is that we wouldn't have a Black History Month. That is my vision, and I speak powerfully into that. I have a vision that one day Black history would be so embedded in the curriculum, would be so embedded in conversations, in communities, in society, that we wouldn't need the pressure of 1 month of the year. And I see this differently, because October, it's a you know, we need to start somewhere. So we do have this month of October where we celebrate Black History Month. A lot of schools, most schools I would say, have half term in October. So we don't really have a whole month to educate, to celebrate, to talk about the contribution. If you're in one type of educational institution, you have 3 weeks because you have a week of half term. If you're in certain other types of educational institutions, you only have 2 weeks because you have 2 weeks half term. And then at the end of that, we have Halloween, which is a big celebration that a lot of children are excited about. So I think, as opposed to feeling the pressure to make October work, why don't you embed this beautiful history of Black people that is so diverse, that is an eclectic feast of learning? Infuse that into each month, into the curriculum, so you don't feel the pressure in October and then you get harried and stressed and you think, oh, what was it that Martin Luther King said again? What was it that Nelson Mandela said? They were amazing Black men in history, but I feel like Black history has come a long way. We are living right now in the present. Black history is happening here and now. It is futuristic. And as we value Black history more, we're not going to be held back or imprisoned or chained to 1 month. That actually isn't 4 weeks of learning. It's 3 or 2. Let's spread it. Let it die. Let's diffuse it.
Yeah, she almost sounds like she's going to go into one of her poems.
Don't get me started.
As we round off, you're both into writing, but in different ways. You're authoring books, and she does poetry.
Yeah.
And that's one way I can see you've been speaking out about diversity. Talk to us just a little bit about that.
Leading from your core is all about leading from a place of purpose and a place of authenticity and a place of courage and a place of character. And so as leaders, and that applies to both black, white leaders, wherever you are, just how are you looking at the people around you and drawing out their best, drawing out the best of their talents and their motivation and their passion. So that's a way for me to speak into this issue of helping everyone to thrive. And we can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, both of you, for doing this for us, Obi and Peju.
Pleasure.
You will come back
joy.
again.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, that's a beautiful story of negotiating identity and culture to make a huge impact in often difficult circumstances. Stories like this one have become the hallmark of Nigerians in the diaspora, and little wonder they're among the most celebrated and decorated all the world over. And that's the show. You can catch other editions of Diaspora Network on our website, channelstv.com. I'm Ijeoma Onyato. See you next time.